Hi, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Michelle, aka the live streaming teacher. And what I do on this channel is I provide education business professionals with tips that will help them to host profitable virtual workshops and webinars. And in this video, I'm going to share with you a content structure that I have adapted and use in my business to host profitable workshops. But before I dive right into the content, I want to share with you all my Teach framework that I created to help business owners just like you to present in a way that makes sense to any audience. And I took this from teaching practices from my 24 years in the classroom of how to deliver content to actually get people to learn. Now, it's a little different because it is designed for adults. Adults come with a plethora of experiences. You don't have to give them that part, which is different when you're dealing with children. But let me hop right on into it. T is for technology. The technology that I use is eCam because it's an excellent program that can be used for a plethora of things for workshops, webinars, or anything that ails you. Then E is for engagement. Now, this is subjective. A lot of people tend to think that engagement is, oh, I have all these bells and whistles popping up off of the screen. And that is not for every audience. Let me say that again. That is not for every audience. My audiences are educators who have businesses and they won't get excited about animations. Now, if your audience are video gamers, live streamers, YouTubers, those are the type of things that will engage your audience. But there are three different types of engagement. The first is student to instructor, that's your participant. The second is student to student, which in this case will be participant to participant. And the last one would be your participant or students engaging with the content. And as you see at the bottom, it says show, not tell. Engagement is visual. It is not something that you can talk through. You don't keep people engaged with this. You don't. Because the research states that if you are talking to an audience of children, you already know their attention span is this long. And as they progress and get older, one would think that the attention span get longer, but it doesn't. It gets somewhat longer, but not to where we can stay focused for hours at a time without switching gears. And when I say gears, talking and engaging, doing, or looking at a video. You should be able to have different types of engagement when you are hosting your workshop. Now, back to the framework. The next thing are your activities. How do you encourage connecting with your audience during your live stream? How do you encourage participants to connect with each other online or during your live stream? Or how can you best communicate what is important about your content, the content that you are presenting? The next one is conversation. Will you give your audience time to reflect on new learning? Will you use the chat for conversation, Q&A, polls, or another platform? So, diving right on into this content about this structure. Now, this is a structure that I have adapted to present to adult audiences in a virtual setting. I'm going to say that again. Adult audiences in a virtual setting. So, the first thing that you want to do is to acknowledge your pain point. Why do you want to acknowledge that pain point? You want to acknowledge it because you want to show some empathy. Who wants to basically attend a workshop where your presenter can't empathize with what you're going through? For example, teachers in my business, they struggle with math intervention. They have a hard time closing gaps. Well, I know that's like. So I start out with that in my workshops. Workshops are designed for you to learn something new and then take it and apply it. So the content structure is very, very simple because it has been adapted from a teaching model, which teaching is teaching. I don't care where it happens at. It's the same process, different audience. So there are just four parts to this content structure. Easy peasy, very simple to learn and be able to remember. And my teach framework works well with this content structure. So the first step is to acknowledge the pain point. When you are designing your slide decks or whatever you're putting together, your presentation, it could be oral, you need to acknowledge your participants or your audience's pain point. This will help you to connect with them. Whatever the pain point is, you need to acknowledge that because showing up is very difficult when you know that you are struggling. I tell my students that all the time. The next step is tell the audience why it's important to learn this, which will connect back to your pain point. Showing how or why this is important to learn can be done with case studies. It can be done with your own personal stories. For example, when I tell people this is important to learn, I go back to my first years of teaching and how difficult it was to get children to learn who were so many grade levels behind. That is a personal story. And then I showed the data. In the business world, these are your key performance indicators or your KPIs. So the second step is to tell your audience why it's important to learn this. The next step is to hook them. I got you. You want to hook them with a video, a story, something that is going to engage them. It can be an activity. It does not matter. Whatever you think will hook your audience, because you have to remember this is virtual and all they have to do is hit that little button and turn off their camera and disengage. But you want to hook them before that actually happens. The last step is to present your new learning. Now, this is why your audience is showing up for that workshop. They want to hear and learn something. A workshop is totally different from a webinar. A webinar is basically stand and deliver. That workshop is an intimate setting. It has an objective because by the end of that workshop, those participants or your audience should be able to take their new learning and apply it in their business. So, I want to do a little recap of those four little steps to creating a content presentation that is engaging and is going to make you somewhat cha-ching. The first step is acknowledge your audience's pain point. Second step, Why is this important? Why do I need to learn this? The third step is hook them. Tell them, I got you. That could be an activity, that can be a case study, that could be anything that's going to hook your audience in before they disengage. And the last step is present your new learning and use the TEACH framework, which is engagement, activities, and conversation. Focus on those three things so that your audience can feel like they have won the day when they leave your workshop. So if you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to my channel and download my virtual workshop roadmap. In this On this workshop roadmap, it has my TEACH framework, and what it does, it will help you to plan and execute your next virtual workshop. Thank you for watching my video, and I'll see you in my next live stream or video. Bye-bye.